Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni!
Fires upfield into the end zone. It is caught. Jelani Woods, touchdown! INDY! A 43-point night for Tyrese Halliburton.
How do you like that, partner?
Renew now, drives in low, throws up a shot. It doesn't go. Tipped up and in by Anthony Leal. Indiana takes the lead.
It's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
Now, here's your host, Jim Coyle.
Hello, everybody. Welcome aboard on this Wednesday. How are you doing? Appreciate you being with us as always. Hello to everybody, wherever you are, however you're listening. We appreciate you. Everybody up in Fort Wayne on 1380 The Fan. Make sure you stay tuned afterwards for the Sports Rush. And up in the region, our peeps up there in the region in Chicago area on WJLB, 1230 AM, 104.7 FM, and out on 97.7 The Ref, ESPN, always the right call, down in Evansville. Hope everyone all around the state is doing well today and in parts unknown. Don't forget Indiana Sports Beat Radio, powered by Andy Moore Honda. Just go to andymorehonda.com to get more to your door, and the Autograph app, where real fans get unreal rewards. Just go to the Apple App Store or Google Play today and download the Autograph app. Use ISB Media as your sign-in code. And they'll let them know that that's how you heard from us. But where Autograph is where unreal fans get unreal rewards. How are you doing? Looking forward to talking to Dylan Sinn today from the Fort Wayne Journal-Gazette, Kyle Neddenriep from the Indy Star, and Rick Bozich from WDRB.com. What are your plans this weekend? The U.S. Open is happening. USA men's soccer team in their final pre-Olympic tune-up loses to Japan. Why can't the United States field a competitive soccer team? I know that soccer is a sport that has been a world sport, not really adopted in the U.S., and we didn't have it when I was in high school. I mean, that shows you that it's not something that's that ingrained in American sports, but the athletes are here. It just shows you that, man. But boy, people or places around the world have sure gotten good in basketball. How's everybody else doing? Appreciate you. A little bit of tidbits. The recruiting staff for Indiana basketball staff on the road yesterday, as the entire Indiana men's coaching staff was in attendance at the NBA Players or National Basketball Players Association Top 100 camp in Central Florida. Coaches are able to go there on 11th and the 12th. Some of the premier players in the country are there. Braylon Mullins was intending to go to there, but he decided not to go. He is this worn down, as he told us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio, that he needs a break. And I get it. You know, you hear me talk about that. This has just been a long year, man. Sports just rolled after the tournament. There's usually a break. After the NCAA tournament, there's usually a break, but that was not the case this year. It just rolled right through May, right through into June. And so we're really just kind of in the midst of our first break now after the All-Stars have come. The Indiana All-Stars have come to a little lull for those guys to get some rest. Because they nonstop season for them. These guys are in high school. their brains need to rest as well. And I don't mean that because they're in high school, just you need that mental rest. It wears on you when you're doing something, I don't care what it is, nonstop. So, but yeah, good to see some of these guys getting a break. Smart of Braylon to do that, in my opinion, not to get worn out, not to get burned out. But there are several other Indiana targets that will be there. Malachi Moreno from that plays with Braylon on the Indiana Elite team was planning on being there. Kean Anthony, Malik Thomas, Darius Adams, Bryson Tiller, and Chris Cernak. So lots of talent to be seen. And it just makes you wonder, boy, what is next year's recruiting class going to look like? First of all, we don't know how many spots are going to need to be filled. There are the ones that you'll know about because of the seniors, but there will be someone, and plus a lot of the transfers, Luke Goody, Umar Ballo, 1-year guys. So there's some spots there, and you never know who does or does not enter the portal. So it's always something. Larry asking, do high school athletes get burned out? Man, anybody gets burned out if you do something nonstop, on top of daily life. Yeah, I of course you can get burned out, I think, because the demands today are more, you're going harder. It's, in my opinion, I think absolutely that could lead to burnout. So protecting that from happening, very wise all the time, I think. Looking forward to talking to Dylan, like I said, and we'll catch up with Kyle and put the All-Stars to bed. And the U.S. Open, talk to Rick about that, man. That's coming up this weekend. Another major right on top of the PGA that just happened not too long ago. Wonder if Scotty Scheffler can get through that without I'm just kidding. He was wrongly arrested, but I guarantee you that there is going to be some joking along those lines, maybe with the security itself. You never know. We will certainly find out. How you plan on spending your summer? What are you doing? Who else is going to making plans to go to the TBT? I know a lot of you guys are from the central Indiana area listening, and what an incredible opportunity, no matter where you are, to go to these games. Actually, it's multiple opportunities. First of all, and especially if you have not been to Hinkle Fieldhouse, what an incredible opportunity to go to one of the most iconic basketball gyms in the country than the TBT offers, because you'll not only get to see a former Indiana team, a former Butler team, a former Purdue team. That in and of itself also makes it pretty damn cool. But what a great venue. I'm telling you, I really think that they should hold the finals there. I think the TBT finals should be in Indianapolis. It would draw better. Basketball in Indiana just seems to be better, period. No matter what it is. So that's just my opinion on that and my take. But no one cares what I think. I hope everybody else is doing very, very well. You've got the NBA draft coming up as well. Where's Khalil Ware going to end up? What are some of the options that likely options? The Hoosier.com, Zach Browning dug into that. You can go to the Hoosier.com and check that out. But he's got Phoenix at number 2. New Orleans has number 1. Oklahoma City at number 12, which would be a tremendously great pick for Kel'el Ware. And then the Celtics, number 30 and number 55. And man, would that be nice to land on the most likely reigning NBA champion, as I expect the Celtics to be. Although Porzingis, Kristaps, unlikely for game 3, as the Celtics lead the series over the Dallas Mavericks 2-0 right now, but that would not matter much to Kel'el Ware. I think he would be more than happy to land at either of these spots. But with Phoenix, the Suns, according to Zach, the Suns make sense as a potential landing spot for Ware for a couple of different reasons. For starters, with all the money Phoenix has tied up in its big 3, the Suns are likely looking for cheap options to fill out their rotation around Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal. Phoenix could up trading that pick. The Suns have been reportedly shopping the number 22 pick in search of more experienced players, which it doesn't matter what level you are, man. Experience is usually best. But we'll see how that one ends up. The Pelicans, New Orleans, could be a seamless fit for Ware in the upcoming draft, given what the former Indiana big can provide. That Jonas Valanciunas is an unrestricted free agent this offseason, leaving New Orleans with a vacancy at their center spot. If Ware's three-point shooting from the college level translates to the NBA, the spacing the 7-footer could provide for Zion Williamson could be hugely beneficial. And there's no reason to think that his three-point shooting is not going to continue to improve, especially once picked up by an NBA team that will work with him, and his only job will be to play basketball. It's a big difference when you don't have all these other things pulling at you. Other options, the Oklahoma City, that's a high option at number 12. The Thunder is an intriguing potential destination for Ware this offseason, considering that Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford did to the Thunder rolling to the basket during the second round of the playoffs. If Ware's able to become a threat from behind the arc at the next level, that would give Shai Gilgeous-Alexander much more room to get his spots up in mid-range. So there's potential. That would be a big payday at the number. That would be a lottery pick, as a matter of fact. But then the Celtics at number 30 and 55, that would be awfully cool to land there. That's one of the best sports, not programs, but franchises in all of sports. It doesn't matter if you're talking NBA, NFL, Major League Baseball, regardless. It's one of the best in all there is. And you've got Brad Stevens running things. And as a matter of fact, I heard the guys talking about Boston, and someone said, who's the most valuable player for the Celtics right now? And someone said Brad Stevens. That's wild how he is still drawing that kind of attention by doing the things that he does now from behind the scenes. So there's, you see Brian pointing out some of the teams pointed or associated with Ware in mock drafts: Minnesota, Philadelphia, New Orleans, Milwaukee, Phoenix, Washington, and Orlando. But he's going to wind up somewhere. That's one thing you can count on. We've got lots more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Dylan Sinn joins us next. Back with more, brought to you by the Autograph app. Autograph, where real fans get unreal rewards. The first app to track and reward fans for loving what they love most, turning passion into access and experiences. Download the Autograph app in either Apple app or Google Play Store today. Autograph, where unhinged fandom meets unreal rewards. Use ISB Media as your code. We're back with Dylan Sinn after this. In the market for a new or used vehicle? Well, nobody beats the prices and selection of Andy Moore Honda in Bloomington. Right now, get a brand new Honda with no payments for 90 days. That's right, 2023 and 2024 Honda Pilots, HRVs, CRVs, Honda Ridgelines, payment-free for 90 days. Or get 0.9% APR financing for 36 months on a 2023 Honda Ridgeline. Go to AndyMooreHonda.com and get more to your door. If you're looking for a home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in you getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty at Cheryl@IndyHomePros.com or 317-298-0961. Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Let Cheryl Sizemore get you in the home you want today. Cheryl@IndyHomePros.com.
Looking for someone to cater your next corporate event, family reunion, or tailgate? To some, a garnish may be nothing more than just a decoration put last on a plate. But in Bloomington, catering starts with Garnish Catering. Serving all of Bloomington and surrounding areas, Garnish Catering is waiting to help make your next event one to remember. Planning a great event shouldn't have to be stressful. Whether we quote you just for catering or a total event package, you can trust that you're making the right choice with Garnish Catering. Visit garnishcatering.com. That's garnishcatering.com. Garnish Catering is a proud partner of WOW Food Group.
Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouth-watering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33, pizza, burgers, beer.
Country living is just a swing away. It can be hard to find the exact home that fits your family's needs, so there couldn't be a better time to build a new home with Property Shore Construction. Now building exclusively south of Bloomington within the Stonecrest Golf community. Choose from one of the gorgeous Stonecrest Signature Series house plans. We have several lots available with scenic views of the golf course. Contact Amy Rhoda with Revesco Real Estate for additional information. 812-583-0919 or go to mystonecrestliving.com. That's mystonecrestliving.com for more details.
Formerly BB's Chop Shop Market and Table is located on South Walnut in Bloomington and is your one-stop shop for high-quality meats, bakery items, and now fresh seafood. Chop Shop Market and Table has the largest selection of in-house made products around and everything you need to make a gourmet meal at home. Or pick out a tomahawk steak or a grouper filet and enjoy it cooked to perfection in Chop Shop Steakhouse. Chop Shop Market and Table, a part of the WOW Food Group, is your butcher, baker, and fish house, no matter where you live.
This segment is brought to you by the Chop Shop.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Wednesday. Joined now by Dylan Sinn from the Fort Wayne Journal-Gazette. Dylan, how are you, sir?
I'm good. Thank you for having me on, Jim, as always.
It's a pleasure. Always our pleasure, brother. How's it going? What's new for Mr. Married Man? Have you got your weekly honeydew list completed yet?
That's right. I'm always on top of it. So I'm staying ahead of the curve.
Wise man. I've said this once this week, and it's funny coming from a single guy, but happy wife, happy life, baby.
There you go.
Just a phrase that that just resonates. So just kind of a joke there, but yeah, glad to see everything going well. I was just talking about it's so nice to be able to take somewhat of a breath now, because this was an unbelievably long, I don't want to call it an off season, but postseason, I guess. I don't know what usually once the tournament concludes, things really slow down, or they used to. Now it was like someone hit the gas and it's like, whoa, you got thrown back in the seat and it's 100 miles an hour. And it went like that until through the first week of June, which we just completed with the Indiana All-Stars, right up through that. You had, we've had multiple AAU events going on in Indianapolis. and elsewhere. There's other events that have nothing to do with college and whatnot, like the Indy 500 that happened to be going on in May. You have the Kentucky Derby going on in May. You have the PGA here in May. It's been crazy busy. And I'm like, whoo, but there's still things going on, like the NBPA camp, top 100 camp that coaches can attend for 2 days, which plenty of IU targets and others are down there playing. Braylon Mullins in Indiana target was going to go, but he decided he needed a break. And wisely, he's got the 3SSB championship to play in with Indiana Elite in next month, as they are undefeated and they're trying to bring back a title. And man, they're in pretty good shape to do so. Not that there aren't other good teams, but they're gonna go in as one of the favorites to win that.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And Braylon Mullins, I'm glad someone feels the same way we do. He needed a break just like we did. He everything had been going so quickly. For him, obviously for him especially, he's going to be one of the biggest, right, when they release the new rankings on these recruiting sites, and probably at the end of the summer, he's going to be one of the guys that moves up the most. He is going to move up probably 50 spots in some of these rankings. I
was thinking 40 spots, but definitely, I think he rivals. He's in the 80s, I think. Yeah. So I was like, well, he's going to he's going to be a top 50 regardless. But yeah, how far he jumps is yet to be seen. But man, his offers have skyrocketed. Kansas, UConn, North Carolina. I mean, you want to talk about, we had Braylon on a week or so ago, but man, can you imagine that? Just, you're a normal Indiana basketball kid and going along. Now you've gotten offers from Indiana, which was huge, obviously, and a few others, but then wham, the big boys start calling. You get a call from Danny Hurley. That's got to be my, just kind of unbelievable. You just watched him win a national championship. He had not yet turned down the unbelievably dumb $70 million offer from the Lakers. I'm still not over that. I'm like going, what the hell are you thinking? Take the $70 million, baby. Take a couple of years. Worst case, you're taking off a couple of years from college. Worst case, and you're going to walk away with $70 million. I know it's not always about the money. In this case, for me, it would have been about the money. Dang, we're not talking about nickels and dimes here, people. Double.
I thought it was funny. I tweeted this yesterday. I think Danny Hurley, when he turned down that job, he probably sent out a text to everyone he's recruiting. So Braylon Mullins probably got this text. And he said, I thought about it. I'd rather coach you than Coach LeBron.
That's a very, very good point, my friend. And it's a great recruiting guy. It's a great recruiting line.
That's right. That's right. I did think it was funny that, so $70 million is a lot of money. That's true. It's true. However, I did think it was very funny because what we heard reported was that it was going to be an overwhelming offer, right? I did think it was funny that the offer that the Los Angeles Lakers made to Danny Hurley was this for the same amount of money that IU offered Brad Stevens 3 years ago.
That's true.
Like the Lakers can't do any better than that? Come on.
Man, but you know what? Looking back, though, nothing was getting Brad Stevens out of Boston.
No, nothing. No, nothing at all. No. You had to make the offer, but yeah, nothing was getting out of it.
And that's an offer that would have brought virtually anybody from any position, probably. But I was just talking about Brad, and that I was listening to some guys talking about the Celtics, and they were talking about who should be the most valuable player, and somebody said Brad Stevens. And I'm like, you've never heard a president of a ball club being called the MVP. And he's still having such an impact away from the bench. He's having a bigger impact maybe than any anybody in the history of the NBA that has gone from a coach to the front office, the success that he had as coach and the success that he's also having in the front office. He's about to win an NBA championship from the front office.
Yeah, absolutely. And the way this team is constructed is basically like I know people treat Jason Tatum like he's a superstar. I don't think he's quite on that level, and that's not a knock on him. He's a very good player. But that just means that Brad Stevens deserves more credit because he's put together a team that is capable of winning an NBA championship without a true do-it-all superstar, which is very, very hard to do. You don't see that very often in the NBA. I think the last time you could probably say that it happened was 2004 with the Pistons. And so it's a rare thing that happens. And Brad Stevens has put together this team that really, and obviously Joe Mazzulla deserves credit for this too. But they play like a team. Like the pieces all fit really, really well. And that wasn't true when he took that job. He had to kind of massage this over several years to get the formula that really, really worked. And he's done it. And credit to him. And obviously the players deserve a ton of credit. Tatum is a good player. Jaylen Brown has gotten significantly better. Joe Mazzulla has coached this team very, very well. Getting Porzingis was huge, but Stevens deserves a lot of credit for putting together this team that just functions like a well-oiled machine and has basically the entire season and through the playoffs.
Yeah, and so boy, the first two games of that series, Boston has established themselves as the team right off the bat. You go up 2-0, but Kristaps Porzingis doubtful for game 3 for the Celts.
Yeah, I mean that's going to be the big question because I mean they were. When they played the Pacers in the conference finals, they obviously won all 4 of those games without him, but it didn't seem like they were the same kind of machine that they had been previously. When he's not on the court, their ceiling defensively, I think, is pretty significantly lower. The part of the reason that they've won these first 2 games is because Kyrie Irving has just been able to get nothing at the rim at the way he was against the Timberwolves in the conference finals, and I think that is partially a result of Porzingis, who's been great just on the defensive end. And then he obviously stretches the floor on offense too. So they are not the same team when he's not out there, which is crazy to say for a guy who I think a lot of people have kind of given up on. But he was with the Wizards last year, who were the worst team in the league, and it didn't seem like he was really helping all that much. But he got to Boston, you put him on a good team, and he's a huge piece of this team. And so I'm fascinated to see if he does not play or if he is hampered. Maybe you see Dallas kind of get back to what it was doing against Minnesota in the playoffs or in the conference finals and really kind of establishing itself on the offensive end. And maybe this game is a little bit higher scoring.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. They pick back up and see if, and the NBA is like, oh God, please win some games, Dallas.
Yes.
Don't let this be a 4-0 sweep. The networks are begging, please, no more sweeps. We can't. That's why there was such a lull between the conference finals and the beginning of the NBA finals. Because of there was the gap of expected games to be played that did not get played. Brian bringing out the broom, and it's possible, but without Kristaps Porzingis and being in Dallas, I don't know about that. We'll see, but
I think Luka is such a good offensive player. I think he probably wills them to at least one win in Dallas. Just basically one of those games where a guy says, we're not losing tonight. And he goes for 50 or something like that, if that's what it takes. I also think Kyrie will play better. He was pretty bad those first 2 games, and he's been awesome during the playoffs. I do think that he'll play better. So I expect him to win at least one in Dallas. I will say maybe the NBA should have let the Pacers win at least one of those games. Seemed like they were trying to get Boston on, which is okay. That's fine. But maybe you should have let them win at least one to boost the ratings there a little bit.
Absolutely. And looking forward to seeing how that turns out. we were talking a minute ago about the fact that, well, no, I'm going to skip on to this. And I was thinking last night, I'm kind of tired of talking about it, but then that got me to thinking, I'm talking about WNBA. There's just the snub, the Olympic thing. Boy, everybody's all up in arms that Caitlin Clark wasn't put on the team. I'm like, okay, wait 4 years, she'll be on the next one without doubt. But the arguments for are that it was the biggest opportunity to grow the game in addition to what they're doing. Now, I will say I saw some numbers yesterday that I wish I had handy, but it talked about the rise in television viewing audience, astronomically larger. The attendance, astronomically larger. Merchandise sale, astronomically larger. There was something else, again, astronomically huge. All
attendance probably.
All of those. Every single measurement you can imagine is astronomically bigger than it was 1 year ago. Yeah. So for anybody to even pretend that whether it's Caitlin Clark or Angel Reese, which it's probably it is a combination of their rivalry when they came into the league that helped. Even if it's Caitlin Clark if it was Caitlin Clark by herself, there would still have been a jump. I don't know that it would have been this big, because there are games all around the league that are bigger that have no involvement with her. Like, she's not playing in this game and they're selling more seats. So I'm going to have to say it's a combination of all the things that have happened in the college game in the last year or so, watching these players move on, people watching them, following them to the NBA now, where that did not used to be the case. It hasn't been the case. It's been there for plenty of, there's a long enough time for a sample size, and it didn't happen previously.
Yeah. I mean, that's been the biggest problem with the WNBA for years, is that they haven't been able to capitalize as much on the rise in popularity of women's college basketball, because women's college basketball has been rising in popularity for years now. Like, obviously we're Indiana people. We know, we've kind of followed Indiana women's basketball's rise over the last several years here. Attendance at IU women's basketball games has been rising for years, obviously partly because IU is getting better as a team, but also because people are just paying attention more. And for a long time, the WNBA was not really capitalizing, or, I mean, not really through a whole lot of fault of their own, just they weren't able to capitalize on what was going on in college. And I think for the first time, they really are now. And obviously, Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and some other players are a huge part of that. I think it's now a question. My question is, quite frankly, is what happens with college basketball next year? Because obviously Caitlin Clark drove a huge ratings increase with college basketball the last couple of years, an increase that had already been happening, but she took it to another level. And so now I'm wondering what happens. Is there, can women's college basketball remain as popular as it was these last few years? Is it going to be kind of appointment viewing like it was when Caitlin Clark was in college? Is there going to be another star that steps up and kind of takes some of that spotlight? Can Paige Beckers draw that kind of crowd? Can Juju Watkins draw that kind of crowd? Can Hannah Hidalgo at Notre Dame, can she draw that kind of crowd? And I'm really curious as to see how that plays out, because those are all very, very talented players. None of them are hitting threes from the logo like Caitlin Clark was, but they're all, I mean, Juju Watkins averaged 28 a game last year. Paige Beckers was the player of the year in the country as a freshman 3 years ago. Hannah Hidalgo is one of the best players in the country as a freshman last season. I'm fast. All three of them can carry an audience. And so I'm really, really interested to see how that plays out. Are those people who showed up for Caitlin Clark going to keep watching? Because there's going to be a ton of talent in women's basketball, women's college basketball this coming year, and I think it's going to be a really fun season. So I want to see if those people stick around, because they should.
Absolutely. Last question before we break: Did USA Basketball screw up for by not putting Caitlin Clark on the team, in your opinion?
I just don't think so. I mean, like, I don't think there's really an argument that she's one of the best 12 players or one of the best 4 or 5 guards.
Well, I don't think that's
right
the
now.
argument. I think the argument is what it could have done for the women's game.
Yeah, I guess, like, are people going to tune in and watch her in the Olympics and then go back and watch her in the WNBA that would not have watched, like, otherwise? I don't really think that's the case. I think that if you're going to watch her, you'll watch her in the WNBA, and then hopefully you'll find out that there are other good players in the WNBA and watch that too. I just think the job of the U.S. Olympic, the roster committee, is to find the team that's going to win the games, right? And obviously they've won 7 gold medals in a row, and you're trying to make it 8, and that's a huge deal. I just think putting her on the team when she's not one of the 12 best players or one of the 4 best guards, I just think that's giving her something she didn't earn. I don't think she would have wanted that, quite frankly. I think she wants to earn her spot. She seems like that kind of competitor.
I think she would have taken it.
But the other thing is, she's been going for months. Like, it might be better for her to just take a break, right?
I was just talking about Braylon Mullins.
Yes,
not going
exactly.
To this camp because he needed a break.
Exactly.
And about going, Caitlin Clark went right from the NCAA championship right to the draft, right to the start of the league. So it was it's nonstop for her as well.
Absolutely, just take a break. Like, and that's the thing is, obviously she is going to have to gain some muscle during her first off season. I think that's kind of fair to say that she's been knocked around a little bit in her first season in the pros. And her first off season is going to be huge for her to kind of just get physically to a level where a lot of the other WNBA players are. That's where a lot of these WNBA players take a big leap because their rookie season is so close to their final college season. So her first off season is going to be really important for her development. So taking some time off to go play in the Olympics, it would be a great honor for her. And I'm sure she would have liked to have done it. But also, you said it, she's going to be on the team in 2028. I don't really think there's much question about that. And so I think that this is something that she can take the offseason, really relax, recharge from just everything, not just the basketball, but just everything that's gone around it for the last year for her, and really focus on herself and her development as a basketball player. And I think she'll come back next year in her second season in the WNBA better for it. And I think that it might end up being the best thing for all involved, is that she gets to relax a little bit. The Team USA gets to go roll to another gold medal. And by the time the Olympics are over, people will have forgotten the quote-unquote controversy, and we'll be able to get back to just talking about basketball again.
Dylan Sinn from the Fort Wayne Journal-Gazette with us. We've got lots more coming up. Brought to you by Cheryl Sizemore and RE/MAX Realty. If you're in the market for a home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl and her 2 decades of experience. Reach out to her at Cheryl@IndyHomePros.com. We've got Dylan Sinn back with more right after this.
If you're looking for a home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in you getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty at Cheryl@IndyHomePros.com or 317-298-0961. Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Let Cheryl Sizemore get you in the home you want today. Cheryl@IndyHomePros.com. Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouthwatering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33. Pizza, burgers, beer.
Country living is just a swing away. It can be hard to find the exact home that fits your family's needs, so there couldn't be a better time to build a new home with Property Shore Construction. Now building exclusively south of Bloomington within the Stonecrest Golf community. Choose from one of the gorgeous Stonecrest Signature Series house plans. We have several lots available with scenic views of the golf course. Contact Amy Rhoda with Revesco Real Estate for additional information. 812-583-0919 or go to mystonecrestliving.com. That's mystonecrestliving.com for more details.
Formerly BB's Chop Shop Market and Table is located on South Walnut in Bloomington and is your one-stop shop for high-quality meats, bakery items, and now fresh seafood. Chop Shop Market and Table has the largest selection of in-house made products around and everything you need to make a gourmet meal at home. Or pick out a tomahawk steak or a grouper filet and enjoy it cooked to perfection in Chop Shop Steakhouse. Chop Shop Market and Table, a part of the Wild Food Group, is your butcher, baker, and fish house, no matter where you live.
Looking for someone to cater your next corporate event, family reunion, or tailgate? To some, a garnish may be nothing more than just a decoration put last on a plate. But in Bloomington, catering starts with Garnish Catering. Serving all of Bloomington and surrounding areas, Garnish Catering is waiting to help make your next event one to remember. Planning a great event shouldn't have to be stressful. Whether we quote you just for catering or a total event package, you can trust that you're making the right choice with Garnish Catering. Visit garnishcatering.com. That's garnishcatering.com. Garnish Catering is a proud partner of WOW Food Group.
In the market for a new or used vehicle? Well, nobody beats the prices and selection of Andy Moore Honda in Bloomington. Right now, get a brand new Honda with no payments for 90 days. That's right, 2023 and 2024 Honda Pilots, HRVs, CRVs, Honda Ridgelines, payment-free for 90 days. Or get 0.9% APR financing for 36 months on a 2023 Honda Ridgeline. Go to AndyMooreHonda.com and get more to your door.
This segment is brought to you by Freethink Apparel.
Welcome back. Indiana Sports Beat Radio coming to you here on this Wednesday. Hope you're having a great day. Dylan Sinn from the Fort Wayne Journal-Gazette with us, as always, on this Wednesday. Dylan, Hoosiers for Good, Indiana's NIL, official NIL collective, had their big event over the weekend down in French Lick. Golfing sold out at the Die Course. They had a big dinner that evening. Former players were there. I know Trace Jackson Davis was there. I think Jalen Hitsafino was there as well. And a myriad of people at that event. But these types of events have become gigantic. But there's always been gigantic events going on for universities. But it was money that they were getting to make. Now it's going elsewhere, which has made them become more creative because they still have to bring in funds.
Yeah, no, I mean that it's kind of a new reality for a lot of these athletic directors, which is they have to find other ways to bring in money because so much of it is going to the collective, and I think that's part of that is why some of the biggest athletic directors, the ones at the Indianas, the Alabamas, the Ohio States, were so excited, or I guess are looking forward to the reality that comes after this new NCAA ruling, which is still not. The deal is still not finalized yet. We still don't know exactly what's going to happen when, but it seems like that's going to bring a lot of the what players are receiving in compensation. It's going to bring a lot of that in-house, and kind of collectives are not going to be as important anymore once that compensation starts coming from the athletic departments directly. And so I think that a lot of the athletic directors, especially at the biggest schools, are pretty excited about that, at least because I don't think a ton of them relished kind of competing with these collectives for funds, because obviously you needed the collectives to have money to get players compensated, but that's money the athletic departments weren't getting, and they weren't able to have like a ton of control over how it was spent. And so obviously this new ruling again. The ruling that came down a couple weeks ago, it was reported that they have a deal. We don't know what the deal is yet in full, but that seems to be where this is going, where athletic departments are going to be able to pay the players at least directly to a certain extent, and that's probably better than just kind of having the collectives as a middleman. So it's unclear what happens to collectives, but it is a weird reality that we are in right now, where the collectives are still kind of taking some of this money and paying the players with it.
For Indiana, that's easy. They just bring Hoosiers for Good in-house.
Yeah.
Because Tyler Harris, the executive director of Hoosiers for Good, used to work for Indiana in compliance. So that would be, and the director of Hoosiers Connect,
the offshoot of Hoosiers for Good is Colin Hartman. So former IU basketball player. So
There you
that's
go.
a pretty easy deal. And
Yes.
they've done an unbelievable. They are gigantic. Nothing or no one comes close in the same universe as Hoosiers for Good for the money that they have brought in, and they are the reason that Indiana gets guys like Umar Ballo. When you see those numbers he was asking for, that's Hoosiers for Good that is providing those funds. Don't think anything other than that. But so, yeah, you mentioned earlier when I was talking about Danny Hurley about how, boy, oh boy, does he have a recruiting tool now.
Yeah.
Man, oh man. And I will combine that with a conversation that we had with Mike DeCourcy earlier this week, and he was talking about Hurley, but in the sense that he has produced at least 4 NBA draft picks in the last 2 years, I'd say. I think. And going into that tournament, I had researched the last 5 national champions, and every one of the last 5 national champions had a minimum of 4 draft picks on their roster. They didn't have to come out that year. They just had to be on the roster. UConn has fit that both years. And that's one of the reasons why I said Purdue has no chance to win they're not going to win the national championship. And they didn't. And they were exposed as far as the guards, the difference in levels. But Mike talked about the development that Hurley has gotten. These guys were not big time recruits. These were not top 10 recruits that are just rolling on. These are guys that were getting developed. That is what draws the attention of guys. And I'm sure that if, while Indiana is going to be in a heated recruiting battle with UConn for, say, Braylon Mullins, that is going to be what is probably the biggest point. While Indiana is in just as heated a battle for, say, Trent Sisley, that's not something that Matt Painter has in his cap. He can't say that, well, we've got all these NBA guys that get developed for the NBA. That's not the case. I mean, if you look at I think Purdue has one guy in the NBA right now.
I think so. Yeah.
One player. And so they are not a program that produces a ton of NBA talent.
No, they're not. And that's the thing is that's never been what they've, at least for the last 5 to 10 years, is not really what they're trying to do. They haven't really gotten a ton of big time recruits. What Matt Painter has done is really tried to find guys who fit what he's trying to do really, really well and mold them into a team. And he's done that, right? He's found guys who are not highly recruited, who fit exactly what he's trying to do, who can run the system that he runs, which is very, very complicated. There's a ton of plays, and it takes really, really smart players to do it. And he's found guys that have been able to do that. And I think that's why I think that losing Cannon Catchings stings for them, because I think he would have been a guy who could really, really develop in that system and then go be an NBA draft pick. I kind of like a Jaden Ivey, where he spends a year there, develops, and then really explodes in his potential lottery pick as a sophomore. He's just so athletic, and I think losing him hurts them. Maybe not this year. I don't think it hurts them as much this year, but in 2 years, I think losing him would hurt pretty significantly. And just kind of for the narrative for being able to produce another NBA draft pick, I think that hurts a little bit. Obviously, we'll be seeing Edey in the NBA, so that will help a little bit. So they'll have at least 2 next year, and we'll see how. Yeah, well, he'll be in the NBA. He will be in the NBA next year. Someone is going to use him. I'm not sure exactly how long he'll be in the league. I do think that someone will use him at least for a while and just see how it goes. So at least, and we'll be able to see him kind of trying to figure it out, which will be interesting. But yes, you're absolutely right. I think that, and I do think that now, because Purdue has had this level of success the last couple of years, I do think there's an opening for them to try to get more guys with genuine high-level NBA potential, which I thought they did with Catchings until he decommitted. So I wonder if that's something, because UConn has done that a little bit, right? Like they won the national championship 2 years ago, and then they went out and they got Stephen Castle, who was a huge piece for them this year. Is going to be a one and done, and is going to be a high level NBA draft pick. So it's one of those things where you have the success, and then you go out and your recruiting improves. And I think that there's an opening.
But it's not
for
just success; it's producing these guys that go on to the next level. And again, that's something Purdue just has not done. And that's why I'll say that Purdue has zero chance of landing Braylon Mullins. Zero. That in addition to the fact that they're very, very late to the party. Yeah. You can't, I mean, this was almost I can't grab the word that I'm looking for, but just hey, here's an offer. It's not, it's too late. They know that it's too late, but maybe it's just because it would not be a great look to not offer one of the best players in top risers in the country that's right down the road from you. But looking at that development, Indiana has put already, Mike Woodson will have put more guys in the NBA than what Purdue has in total right now. That's nuts. But we're talking 3 seasons, and it's going to be back to back to back guys going to the league. That resonates with guys. One was a guard, so it's not all bigs. That does resonate with guys. And so, and especially guys like Kanan Catchings, but guys like Braylon Mullins who have shown, or Trent Sisley even, these guys have taken a step up this year. Their games have taken a step up this year. Both of them, Malachi Moreno, but you're also getting more eyes on them because they're winning more. But it's the ability to be developed is something that I think more and more of these guys are actually looking at. And yeah, I mean, I know Purdue has done it that way, and that's fine. Those guys are not really NBA prospects, most of them. And they're not being turned into NBA prospects. Zach Edey, that's if that's going to be, and that's your one in the last couple of years. Well, man, I could have turned him into an NBA prospect. You could have turned him into an NBA prospect, or I don't think that was a big stretch, turning a 7 foot, 300-pound guy into an NBA prospect. And I'm not, Matt Painter's a great coach, so I'm not dissing him, but I'm just saying players look at this stuff, man. This is so prevalent now. Not that the NBA hasn't always been there. It has been. But I think that there is just more attention today being placed on guys that want to be developed to that next level.
Yeah, and I'm actually fascinated with this coming season for Purdue because they have 2 guys on their roster right now who I think could get to that level, could get to NBA prospect level in Miles Colvin and Cam Heide. And I think I'm interested to see how that kind of interacts this year because those guys are both going to be, basically Purdue is going to be as good as those guys can be because we know how good Braden Smith is. We know how good Fletcher Lawyer is. Trey Kaufman-Renn is probably going to start at center. And so those guys are good. We all know that all 3 of those players are good. And the question then for Purdue is going to be whether Cam Heide and Miles Colvin are capable of stepping in and really thriving as starters. And both of them have the kind of athleticism that gets you to the NBA. They are extremely, extremely strong, extremely athletic, just can leap out of the gym. Both of them can shoot from the outside. And so I'm fascinated to see how Purdue uses them this year and whether either of them is developed to the level that they start getting NBA buzz by the end of the season because they have that kind of athleticism and ability. It's just a question of, as you said, did they develop this offseason? And obviously part of that is on the player too. But did they develop this offseason in a way that is going to, A, maximize their NBA prospect status, but also B, maximize what Purdue is trying to do on the court? And can you marry those 2 things together? I think Purdue has a chance to show you can. It's just a question of those guys really taking that leap because if they do, that raises Purdue's ceiling as a team. So that's kind of one of the really interesting subplots of this coming season for Purdue, for me, is what kind of leap those guys take as guys who could get to that prospect level.
Yeah. Appreciate you, my friend. What's up next for you?
Yeah, of course, I'm covering the Tin Caps, as always, here in Fort Wayne, the minor league baseball team. I have a story. Yep, that's right. I have a story out today. We talked about the NCAA ruling a little bit earlier, a ruling that is not yet a ruling. I have a story today on how that affects Purdue, Fort Wayne, kind of in some of the smaller schools. Obviously, the big guys are very happy to be about this a little bit, but for the smaller schools, it's going to be a little bit tough for them. So I have a story on that and how it affects some of the smaller schools in Division I. So if you could check that out at journalgazette.net, I think it'd be informative.
Absolutely. Always give Dylan Sinn a follow and stay up with what's going on, especially from those of you in the Fort Wayne area. But appreciate you, brother, as always. Look forward to next week.
Absolutely, Jim. Thanks for having me on.
You bet. We've got lots more coming up here on Indiana Sports B Radio. We'll be back with it, brought to you by our good friends at Freethink Apparel and Promotions. Whether you need 24 T-shirts for the upcoming family reunion or 200 for this summer's baseball league, Freethink Apparel meets your printing needs. Their team of industry experts work with you to design a professional-looking, sales-generating web store for your custom-designed apparel and promotional merchandise. From large corporations, small businesses, high school sports teams, national accounts, Freethink Apparel delivers no matter where you are. Visit freethinkapparel.com today and get printing. Back with more after this.
In the market for a new or used vehicle? Well, nobody beats the prices and selection of Andy Moore Honda in Bloomington. Right now, get a brand new Honda with no payments for 90 days. That's right, 2023 and 2024 Honda Pilots, HRVs, CRVs, Honda Ridgelines, payment-free for 90 days. Or get 0.9% APR financing for 36 months on a 2023 Honda Ridgeline. Go to AndyMooreHonda.com and get more to your door.
Looking for someone to cater your next corporate event, family reunion, or tailgate? To some, a garnish may be nothing more than just a decoration put last on a plate. But in Bloomington, catering starts with Garnish Catering. Serving all of Bloomington and surrounding areas, Garnish Catering is waiting to help make your next event one to remember. Planning a great event shouldn't have to be stressful. Whether we quote you just for catering or a total event package, you can trust that you're making the right choice with Garnish Catering. Visit garnishcatering.com. That's garnishcatering.com. Garnish Catering is a proud partner of WOW Food Group.
If you're looking for a home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in you getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty at cheryl@indyhomepros.com or 317-298-0961. Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Let Cheryl Sizemore get you in the home you want today. Cheryl@indyhomepros.com. Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouthwatering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33, pizza, burgers, beer. Formerly BB's Chop Shop Market and Table is located on South Walnut in Bloomington and is your one-stop shop for high-quality meats, bakery items, and now fresh seafood. Chop Shop Market and Table has the largest selection of in-house made products around and everything you need to make a gourmet meal at home. Or pick out a tomahawk steak or a grouper filet and enjoy it cooked to perfection in Chop Shop Steakhouse. Chop Shop Market and Table, a part of the WOW Food Group, is your butcher, baker, and fish house, no matter where you live.
Country living is just a swing away. It can be hard to find the exact home that fits your family's needs, so there couldn't be a better time to build a new home with Property Shore Construction. Now building exclusively south of Bloomington within the Stonecrest Golf community. Choose from one of the gorgeous Stonecrest Signature Series house plans. We have several lots available with scenic views of the golf course. Contact Amy Rhoda with Revesco Real Estate for additional information. 812-583-0919 or go to mystonecrestliving.com. That's mystonecrestliving.com for more details. This segment is brought to you by Hoosier Hanks East.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Wednesday. Made it through the halfway point. Hope you're having a great start to your week, and the rest is downhill from here, baby. Looking forward to talking to Kyle Neddenriep today. Rick Bozich joins us as well. Indiana has remade their roster, of course. Mike Woodson and crew going out this year and getting the recruiting job done that had to be done. But now I'm curious. What is this going to look like? Not from a doubtful standpoint, just curiosity. Who's going to? How are the guards going to be run? Is Carlisle and Rice going to run together to start? Which I would expect, but you've got Trey Galloway in that mix, and Mike Woodson has shown a penchant for showing loyalty or just trust in guys that have been there, and Trey Galloway is one that has been there that had to step up last year and play in positions that he probably wouldn't have been in. And I wonder if this year will he not get pushed aside? I don't expect that, but the lack of what Indiana had last year, they don't seem to be lacking that this year. And if that is the case, how are these minutes going to be split? Galloway is going to be coming back from an off-season surgery. And when he gets back, exactly how he comes back, that will play a key into that. Does Indiana roll in Bryson Tucker, the freshman? You've got Umar Ballo and Malik Renew. How is that going to work itself out? Interesting to see that. But Indiana has the pieces they need. Later on, as we get closer, we'll start looking at the other teams around the Big Ten. Purdue, of course, that one's easy to figure out. But Kyle Neddenriep from the Indy Star joining us now. Kyle, how are you, sir? Did you get to take a big breath of relief after June 9th, which was the Sunday after the All-Star game?
Yeah, to a certain extent. Watch some baseball, watch some Evansville, Tennessee, watch some NBA finals. And then,
this was busy. Well, you're always busy, but this was just an unbelievably busy postseason till now. I've been talking about how crazy busy it was. Part of it was because in the month of May, we had the Kentucky Derby, which takes place just south of us. You had the PGA also happening in Louisville, the Indianapolis 500 going on. There were multiple AAU events that month in Indianapolis. It was crazy busy. And Braylon Mullins, I talked about him earlier. He skipped the NBPA camp where Mike Woodson and crew are going. I assume that Matt Painter will be down there as well. But he said he needed to take a break. He was on with us and last week and just said, "Yeah, I decided I'm to skip that. I need a break." There's nothing for him to prove. When you have, like in his case, when you have 27 offers, what is the point of going to a camp like that? Is it to meet people? Is it to learn? Is it to find out what things you need to work on? I'm not sure what are those camps' true purpose.
Yeah, I mean, I would, it probably depends on your situation. Like in his case, he's had a great spring, like June is a month for, playing with your high school team. I know, that's what they've been doing, like everybody around here. So, from that standpoint, yeah, I mean, I don't know, what you really, he's playing against great competition in the AAU season. So he actually, obviously got a whole bunch of offers, played well in the junior All-Stars. So yeah, it's been busy. Certainly been busy. I thought, the All-Star experience, I think, was good for that class. I thought Trent Sisley played great up at Kokomo. Mullins also, it was fun to see that class play together. And then, but yeah, in his case, it's a good question. I don't know. I'm not sure. I guess the chance you get to play against like the top level competition, like it's very advantageous for coaches, I would say, to watch that. And even on a smaller level for us, like, watching the futures game of the All-Stars and the junior All-Stars, and you can kind of see, I mean, not that it's not a full assessment of a player, but you can sort of tell like who's who to a certain extent. Now, I will say, like Kyle Mangus, when he played with the All-Star team, I told him, it's like it wasn't like he was overwhelmingly good, but then you watch him, what he's doing now. It's like, and even what he, obviously in college, he was phenomenal at Indiana Wesleyan. So it's not, like I said, it's not a full assessment, but it kind of gives you an idea. So from that standpoint, that's sort of what that thing does, I guess, from a coach's perspective. But in his case, I don't know, probably not a whole lot to gain.
Yeah, I mean, and I know there are other guys that are down there that are actually ranked much higher than he is. And so they're going for whatever their reasons are. His Indiana elite teammate, Malachi Moreno, decided to go down and play, but he has offers from Indiana, from Kentucky, from Arkansas, which I feel confident that he will land at one of those three places, because that's I don't expect him to venture too far from home. It's like I think Trent Sisley. I think that he stays in state for sure between Purdue and Indiana, but I don't know. Michigan State is a great offer. Michigan with Dusty May is a great offer. He's visiting all of those schools, and has offers from them. So all of these guys have great opportunities to go. How surprised were you by the Kanan Catchings situation at Purdue?
I was surprised based on the timing, because you think at this
after
point,
he moved in.
Well, I don't know if he's actually. I think there was some. I don't know if he was actually moved in yet, but he was a couple days away from being there, and it's just a weird deal. I mean, it's just like I said, I'm not surprised necessarily that he's not going to Purdue, but I thought that would have happened last year. Where if you don't feel like you're going to go, or if you need some promise or whatever the case was, then you should probably figure that out long before now. But anyway, to each their own, I guess. But yeah, it was surprising, just because you figure by June of you're about to start workouts. So it's like, oh yeah, it's almost seemed like he forgot to decommit or something. So I know there's a obviously there's and I still think, I mean, he's such a good player, he's such a good prospect. If you're Purdue, you don't want to lose him. It's not like they were wanting to lose him. So, I think he's going to go on and be a really good player. I bottom line is he can knock shots down. He's at the top level. I think he's going to be a pro. So we'll see how that. I didn't get a chance to see him during this Overtime Elite, other than just seeing some highlights and stuff online. But heard he had a pretty good experience there. I talked to him in November when he signed, and seemed like it was a really good conversation. I felt like talking to him, it seemed like he'd matured some, and I still think he's going to be really good. So you don't want to lose a guy like that. But yeah, the timing of it just seemed a little weird to me, and I think to everybody, just because you thought like, okay, everything's set for him to come in and play. So, but yeah, I mean, I guess in Purdue's case, you don't know what you're losing, to some extent, because he never really got there. So that's maybe the best thing that happened, is it at least he didn't go for a little while and leave. He left before he even got there. So
I can tell you what they lost: Mason Gillis.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, and I think they knew that was probably, that had been put in place for a while. But I
Right,
mean,
but had they known that, do you think that they might have kept Mason Gillis because it was known going in that he, him and Ethan Morton would not be a part of the roster next year?
Possibly, and in some ways, I talked to Mason at a Pacers game, just briefly, a few weeks ago, and what an opportunity for him. It's like you go from playing in a national championship Final Four team, and now get to close your career at Duke. So pretty cool chance for him. But I don't know. I mean, you got Miles Colvin, you got Cam Heide, you got guys who are there at that position. It's a question. I don't know the answer to that, to be honest with you. But yeah, I mean, obviously you have a hole there, by both those guys not being there. But I think there's other guys there ready to. I think Colvin's potentially, could really blow up and have a great season, and his athleticism's off the charts and all that. So I don't know. There's guys in those spots I think that can fill the hole. And like I said, we know what Gillis you brought to the table clearly, and I think maybe that's a good point that if you knew the situation, what you got with him. But you also have other guys coming up that I think are going to be ready too. So I don't know. It's a good thought, but I'm not sure I have the answer for that.
With Braden Smith and Fletcher Lawyer so entrenched at guard, what do you think the sticking point was? Do you think it was guaranteed playing time or guaranteed starting spot, NIL related? Because there's no doubt that someone of his elite level it can shop that NIL, but he's going to be a freshman. It's not the same as having had a great freshman year already and having something to show what you can do in college.
Yeah, I mean, and I've heard things too that that are somewhat along those lines as far as some of those things you just mentioned. But also, it's like, well, wouldn't the questions come up earlier than June?
Oh, 8th? No doubt.
So, it's just strange to me, that all of a sudden this becomes the sticking point. So, maybe, we'll see where he ends up going. I think will kind of tell us maybe what exactly happened, and maybe, this was just a way to sort of grease the wheels to get to where you really want to be. And in fairness, you should go where you really want to be. And that, to me, that's kind of the bottom line. If you don't want to be at whatever, in this case, Purdue, then that's fine, but maybe that was just a way to sort of know it. Maybe you knew the answer already, and that was kind of a way to move on to the next spot. So, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, to me, it's like, Painter has been pretty clear about how he's going to go about talking to recruits and not making promises and those sorts of things. And if that happened in this case, I'm not surprised. It doesn't matter who you are. I don't think that he's going to have a lot of the same answers for you.
I've talked about, Matt Painter's a great coach. There's no doubt about that. But he is kind of like, he's one of the last holdouts of being able to run a team like he wants to run it, not how it is going to be affected by NIL or whatever the case may be. But it comes a point where he's not going to have a choice. He hasn't been affected yet by the transfer portal, but I think next year is going to be that first time because Gillis and Morton, they were getting kind of, I don't want to say pushed out, but they were not expected to be returning. They were kind of, that was an agree, I think an unknown agreement. Is Matt Painter, because he brought in 6 freshmen, which now he's got one less than that, but is he behind the curve now? Because had he been able to bring in 6 freshmen along with the couple of sophomores they have, over half his team are underclassmen. And that's not where you want to be.
No, yeah. And, I guess from the other side is you do have guys who have experience now who've gone through and played in the Final Four, so there is some of that. But yeah, I don't think like you said, I don't think that's how he wants it to be every year. Through a variety of reasons, that's the way it is this year. But yeah, I don't think that's ideal. And he even said, I remember when we were out there in Phoenix, this is our model now. This doesn't mean it'll be certainly our you will have to adjust with the times or whatever. We'll see if it continues to work. So I don't think he's saying we've got all the answers and no one else does. So I think he's pretty honest about that. What has worked for them up to this point though is kind of what you said. I mean, they want to develop high school players for the most part, sprinkle in some transfers and not have massive turnover year over year, which they've been able to do. Up until this year, it's just a little bit different this year with how many freshmen they brought in. But I don't think we know. I think everybody wants to jump the gun on Purdue a little bit. Not everyone, but I think people are kind of certain segment is sort of ready to. All right, well, that it's just not going to work, And they're 0-0 right now, so we'll find out how it works this year. But study, I think, in how Purdue operates and how they can operate in the future, for sure. And this changing landscape of college athletics will somewhat dictate that as well. But yeah, I don't think he's going to veer too far off, just knowing his philosophy. I think that's kind of how he wants to do it. Whether you can, I think he's pretty honest about it. We'll see if we can.
Absolutely. And I know you don't cover college golf. I don't get to spend much time doing that either. But Purdue, speaking of the Boilermakers, just lost their longtime college golf coach of 11 plus years to South Carolina. He had led Purdue to 4 NCAA championship appearances during that span. But that's a sport where Purdue has excelled, and they just lost their head guy.
Yeah, that dang SEC, man! I tell you, they're trying
warmer
to
climate, man. That warmer climate.
I am covering the high school golf yesterday. I'm going back out there today, so that's fun to do and something I enjoy. So we'll see. I was kind of tracking the scores this morning. Most of the top guys are still haven't started yet, but Happy Gilmore two shots off the lead. So we'll see how he. The Bloomington side. He's through 3 holes today. He's even, so he's still two off the lead.
That's just a cool story. That's just Happy Gilmore. You gotta love it. I may have to get Happy on. Boy, can you imagine if he came back and win? Maybe give the hockey. Does he have a hockey stick in his bag?
I don't think he does, but I covered him. 2 years ago. They were. The story wasn't really. Hadn't exploded out there yet. Now I think people kind of know it's national people have written about it and whatever. And at that point he was still all I think it was all sort of still new and and now I think he's sort of like that's my name and it's not as big of a thing. But still, I mean, anytime people see that, it's obviously going to get a reaction. So
you might want to quickly explain just a quick backstory of that for the listeners that may not know about that.
Yeah, he's Bloomington South golfer. Always been a really good junior player. His real name is Landon Gilmore, but he was playing on these junior tournaments, and with the last name Gilmore, people just started calling him Happy when he was probably 6 or 7, and then by the age 9, he was pretty much going by Happy all the time. And by age, I think 10 or 11 or 12, somewhere in there, they just started. Happy was basically the name they put on the scorecard and all that. So, but yeah, so Happy is, if you even look on the scoring today, it's Happy Gilmore, in the last, I think his freshman year, the IHSA still called him Landon, but I think after that it was, they just started calling him Happy because that's what's on his bag. That's just what he goes by. So, but the other side, it's not like he's just a guy out there playing. He's really good. I mean, he's been top 15, I think, every year, top 7, I think, twice. And right now he's tied for second. So if he can go 2 under again today, he's going to put himself in a pretty good shot to potentially win state, and Happy Gilmore winning state would be a pretty cool story.
Absolutely. That would be worth getting a legal name change or addition just for marketing purposes, baby. Just for marketing purposes. Kyle Neddenriep from the Indy Star. Make sure you're giving him a follow. Constant content coverage on all things Indiana high school. Thanks, brother. I appreciate you.
All right, Jim. Thank you.
We've got more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by Boost Fundraising. For those of you knowing someone that needs a fundraiser, Boost Fundraiser offers the most unique and easy to use online fundraiser in the nation. Your team receives personalized fundraising pages from each team member, free team branded promo gifts sent to each donor. Boost Fundraising does it all. Sports teams, marching bands, charity causes, community groups. Just go to boostfundraising.com and be sure to enter the promo code COILE, COILE, to get yourself a discounted fundraiser. The man is up next, Rick Bozich from WDRB.com. We're back with that and more right after this. Formerly BB's Chop Shop Market and Table is located on South Walnut in Bloomington and is your one-stop shop for high-quality meats, bakery items, and now fresh seafood. Chop Shop Market and Table has the largest selection of in-house made products around and everything you need to make a gourmet meal at home. Or pick out a tomahawk steak or a grouper filet and enjoy it cooked to perfection in Chop Shop Steakhouse. Chop Shop Market and Table, a part of the Wild Food Group, is your butcher, baker, and fish house, no matter where you live.
Country living is just a swing away. It can be hard to find the exact home that fits your family's needs, so there couldn't be a better time to build a new home with Property Shore Construction. Now building exclusively south of Bloomington within the Stonecrest Golf community. Choose from one of the gorgeous Stonecrest Signature Series house plans. We have several lots available with scenic views of the golf course. Contact Amy Rhoda with Revesco Real Estate for additional information. 812-583-0919 or go to mystonecrestliving.com. That's mystonecrestliving.com for more details.
Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouth-watering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33, pizza, burgers, beer.
Looking for someone to cater your next corporate event, family reunion, or tailgate? To some, a garnish may be nothing more than just a decoration put last on a plate. But in Bloomington, catering starts with Garnish Catering. Serving all of Bloomington and surrounding areas, Garnish Catering is waiting to help make your next event one to remember. Planning a great event shouldn't have to be stressful. Whether we quote you just for catering or a total event package, you can trust that you're making the right choice with Garnish Catering. Visit garnishcatering.com. That's garnishcatering.com. Garnish Catering is a proud partner of Wow Food Group.
If you're looking for a home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in you getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty at cheryl@indyhomepros.com or 317-298-0961. Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Let Cheryl Sizemore get you in the home you want today. Cheryl@indyhomepros.com. In the market for a new or used vehicle? Well, nobody beats the prices and selection of Andy Moore Honda in Bloomington. Right now, get a brand new Honda with no payments for 90 days. That's right, 2023 and 2024 Honda Pilots, HRVs, CRVs, Honda Ridgelines, payment-free for 90 days. Or get 0.9% APR financing for 36 months on a 2023 Honda Ridgeline. Go to AndyMooreHonda.com and get more to your door.
This segment is brought to you by the Fresh Fork in Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Wednesday, and that means Rick Bozich joining us. Rick, how are you, sir?
I'm good, Jimmy. How are you?
I cannot complain. Nobody wants to listen to it, of course. Great to see you as always. I hate to start off with some sad news, but Jerry West passes away, and one of the most iconic names, players in the game, won 9 titles as a player, a coach, a scout, an executive, a consultant. He was just so intertwined with the NBA. He's the logo, for gosh sakes, I don't know if everybody, I know a lot of you know that, but not everyone realizes the NBA logo is a picture of Jerry West. Can you imagine if he would sue for some NIL or something like that? Crazy.
Yeah, I mean, just an extraordinary career and life story. If you go back, he came from a really small town in West Virginia, and then he played at for the Mountaineers and got them to the Final Four. Went into the NBA, had a phenomenal career with the Lakers as a player, and then even a better career as an administrator. I mean, he's a guy who built some of those really good Laker teams. Then I think he was involved with the Memphis Grizzlies and helped them have some playoff teams. He was involved for a time with the Warriors and some of the moves that they made, and maybe at the end with the Clippers. I don't know, but for
Yeah,
sure.
because the Clippers made the announcement, so I don't know what he was doing for them.
There you go.
I can
There's
only
a guy,
assume.
Just did it all, checked every box, and real
8
honest
decades.
About, his book is kind of a tough read because he talks about dealing with, some of the anxiety and depression issues that he had. The one thing I always remember about Jerry West when he was an administrator is whenever the Lakers were playing, it was a stressful game. He couldn't watch. He'd get up and leave his seat and walk around, I think, in the concourse of the arena. That's how competitive he was. But yeah, it's sad to lose a legend like that. Less than 3 weeks after we lost Bill Walton. And
sadly, Pete Maravich's son passes away.
And for me, Chet Walker, he's a Hall of Famer. When I first started following the Bulls, he was one of their stars in the late 60s. He was on the 1967 Sixers team with Wilt Chamberlain that until Jordan's teams came along, they had the record for the best full season record in the NBA. So, yeah, we're losing too many of our NBA standard bearers.
And if you watch the HBO series Winning Time, he's portrayed in that, and everyone says that was not how he was as a GM or whatever position he was in. But and he was not, and he didn't like how they did that. It was mainly for TV. I thought that role was funny as hell personally, but I can understand not want to be portrayed as a half a whack job when you lose.
Yeah, I remember he was pretty public about his displeasure with Winning Time.
Yeah, it's understandable, but one thing that it did make me aware of it, he played in 7 NBA finals and lost 6 of the 7 to Bill Russell's Boston Celtics, which man, that had to, but getting the 1 was great, but man, losing those other 6, I cannot imagine how heartbreaking that had to be.
Yeah, for a guy as competitive as he was, I'm sure it tore his guts out, especially when you look at the Lakers teams. Go back and look at the roster. A number of those teams, probably all of them had Elgin Baylor, and most of them.
I was getting ready to say Elgin Baylor.
And Wilt Chamberlain. I was on a few of them.
Wow.
And Gail Goodrich, and I mean they had dudes who could really play. But the Celtics back then, they had Russell and Havlicek and Sam Jones, Casey Jones, all those guys they had when they were really good. Heinsohn, and Boston had the winning formula. When it got to be, back then it was May. The NBA season ended in April or May. Boston was the team to beat. There are a lot of credits to West scrolling across the bottom how good he really was.
Yeah, the stats are kind of nuts. Over 25,000 points scored. He averaged 27 points a game, made over 7,000 free throws, and dished out over 6,200 assists. That's an all-around player, man.
And that's without the three-point shot. So remember that. He was a shooter.
Oh, yeah, that's one thing that I'm like,
I think wasn't his nickname Zeke from Cabin Creek? A lot of times when I cover Louisville games, we drive through West Virginia to get to North Carolina for games we cover. I think it's just past Charleston. You go through an area where Cabin Creek is, little town. Yeah.
Are there anything other than little towns in West Virginia?
Charleston's big, and what's the other one right across the board? Huntington.
Huntington, yeah, down there by is that by Kentucky? Yeah,
we are
Marshall. We are Marshall. We just had the PGA in Louisville last month. Man, the U.S. Open happening this week. It's like boom. Both these majors, they just keep coming. The Masters in May, and then the PGA, and then now the U.S. Open. It only leaves the Open after that. But Scotty Scheffler's got to be a favorite, man. He's as hot as Tiger Woods was? Is he as hot as Tiger was in his prime?
Close. I don't think he's quite there yet, because Tiger did it in like that one year when he won the Tiger Slam. He won all 4 majors in a row, not in the same calendar year. Scheffler hadn't done that yet, but if he wins this year, this week, you can say that. And obviously, he won a Memorial last weekend. He had a bad tournament when it was down in Fort Worth, but that was in the fallout of, his situation here. And now that his focus is strictly back to golf, I'm not betting against him.
Well, and it makes you wonder, had that not happened in Louisville, he played well that day, but
played well on Friday. It was bad on Saturday.
It was the fallout, and it really makes you wonder. Is like, wow, did that just really hit him like a tsunami and catch him? Because that was not how he had been playing.
I think it's fair. He had to say that, because I think the first day on Friday, it was such a rush to get him back to the course. He was playing on adrenaline, and he was able to hold it together that one day. But then you're done, and you kind of exhale, and then you're probably getting all kind of phone calls from your parents and your wife and your friends and your agent and all these people, like, making sure you're okay. And you're in a, you got to find a way to. I'm sure he probably just stayed in the house he was staying in, didn't go out, didn't want to answer a bunch of questions. And I'm sure the next day it did affect him, because then he did regroup on Sunday. He played good on the final round of the PGA. It was the Saturday round that cost him a chance to be a contender.
Yeah. So, but we'll never know. But it'd be interesting to watch how that runs out this weekend. Where's that being played? I haven't looked. I haven't watched
Pinehurst, North Carolina.
Oh, Pinehurst. Yeah. Boy, they the site of many great events down there.
I'm not sure which course, number 2 or number 4. I don't know, but yeah, it's. Oh, there we go. There's the big news of the day. Jordan Hulls agreed to be the player coach.
Oh, that's just gigantic. We'll save that for the next segment. But yeah, that's big news. Well, like I said, I'm gonna save that for the next segment. But looking forward to seeing how the U.S. Open. When is the Open? Is that next month?
Yeah, it's always in mid-July. That's one of the downsides of when they moved the PGA from August to May several years ago. Really, the golf major season is over in the middle of July. At the end of the year, the last few months, unless you're a golf fanatic, doesn't really carry a lot of juice anymore.
Lots of Caitlin Clark talk over the last week, which actually there's been lots of Caitlin Clark talk for the last 2 years. It hasn't slowed down. It has only accelerated. Everyone has been talking, of course, about her being left off of the Olympic team. The argument for is the ability to grow the game, grow the NBA, because of all the added eyes that will be on it. And I agree, because I think that this would have been an opportunity for world eyes to be on the WNBA, which is an opportunity that they don't get. There's just some advertising you just can't buy. And that is to me, that's one of those situations. Do I think that she's one of the 12 best players in the world? No, I'm not saying that, but that's not always the case. And it's not always what's needed, but I can also understand the argument against. She's not one of the 12 best players in the world. So I'm not like stuck on one side or the other on this issue. I do understand that,
she hadn't completed a season yet. So, and it's not like she's leading in scoring or something like that. Not that she's doing bad, but I can see the argument either way.
Yeah, I mean, I can see it either way. I think she should have been on the team, and I'll tell you why. One is that the 12th spot on the team often is somewhat, I don't know, ceremonial. I can think back to the 1992 men's dream team. They put Christian Leitner on there. Did he deserve to be on there? No. 1984, when Coach Knight coached the U.S. team, he put Steve Alford on there.
Instead of Charles Barkley?
Yeah. Did he deserve to be on there? No. You put somebody on there who, adds some juice to the situation. There's nobody's going to add more juice than Caitlin Clark. And it also feeds into the narrative that the women's basketball community has a little bit of a grudge against her. They're resentful of the fact that she's gotten all this attention and all these endorsements because of what she did in college, not because of what she's done as an NBA player. And I understand why they would be resentful, because they've been good and a lot of them have been at the time, but it's impossible to not deny that she's helped grow the game and will eventually help make them more money. When you look at the attendance of the games she plays in, when you look at the TV ratings of the games she plays in, she's driving more interest for their game, and this would be a chance to do it on the biggest stage of all worldwide. So I think it's a small-minded decision in my mind.
Absolutely. I do agree with that. Rick Bozich from WDRB.com with us right now. When we come back, we'll talk about some football coming up and basketball as well. Stay tuned. We're back with more, brought to you by the Ugly Grouper down on Anna Maria Island, Florida. Whether you're already in the area or going to be, Anna Maria or the Ugly Grouper is the place to be. They have, in addition to great food, locally sourced seafood, your favorite cocktails and craft beers, and live music every day. It's family friendly. Just go to theuglygrouper.com. Back with Rick Bozich after this. In the market for a new or used vehicle? Well, nobody beats the prices and selection of Andy Moore Honda in Bloomington. Right now, get a brand new Honda with no payments for 90 days. That's right, 2023 and 2024 Honda Pilots, HRVs, CRVs, Honda Ridgelines, payment-free for 90 days. Or get 0.9% APR financing for 36 months on a 2023 Honda Ridgeline. Go to AndyMooreHonda.com and get more to your door. If you're looking for a home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in you getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty at Cheryl@IndyHomePros.com or 317-298-0961. Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Let Cheryl Sizemore get you in the home you want today. Cheryl@IndyHomePros.com.
Looking for someone to cater your next corporate event, family reunion, or tailgate? To some, a garnish may be nothing more than just a decoration put last on a plate. But in Bloomington, catering starts with Garnish Catering. Serving all of Bloomington and surrounding areas, Garnish Catering is waiting to help make your next event one to remember. Planning a great event shouldn't have to be stressful. Whether we quote you just for catering or a total event package, you can trust that you're making the right choice with Garnish Catering. Visit garnishcatering.com. That's garnishcatering.com. Garnish Catering is a proud partner of WOW Food Group.
Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouthwatering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33. Pizza, burgers, beer.
Country living is just a swing away. It can be hard to find the exact home that fits your family's needs, so there couldn't be a better time to build a new home with Property Shore Construction. Now building exclusively south of Bloomington within the Stonecrest Golf Community. Choose from one of the gorgeous Stonecrest Signature Series house plans. We have several lots available with scenic views of the golf course. Contact Amy Rhoda with Ravesco Real Estate for additional information. 812-583-0919 or go to mystonecrestliving.com. That's mystonecrestliving.com for more details.
Formerly BB's Chop Shop Market and Table is located on South Walnut in Bloomington and is your one-stop shop for high-quality meats, bakery items, and now fresh seafood. Chop Shop Market and Table has the largest selection of in-house made products around and everything you need to make a gourmet meal at home. Or pick out a tomahawk steak or a grouper filet and enjoy it cooked to perfection in Chop Shop Steakhouse. Chop Shop Market and Table, a part of the Wild Food Group, is your butcher, baker, and fish house, no matter where you live.
This segment is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville and Evansville.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, here on this Wednesday. Rick Bozich from WDRB.com with us as he is each and every week. Rick, your latest piece out is talking about the regional football teams and Phil Still, who is an annual publication that talks about who's going to do what. And in relation to Indiana, you get right to it. And you basically ask, will Kurt Cignetti continue his streak of non-losing seasons as a head coach as his Indiana career begins? And you start out saying, no reason to tease. Steele's answer is yes. And that would mean a minimum of a 7-5 record, which I absolutely do not disagree with. As a matter of fact, I think that should be the bottom of their schedule. Is it? I said this yesterday. He could not have hand selected a schedule better for a coach to come in, for a coach to start turning a program around, for one like Indiana. Indiana buying their way out of that Louisville game probably looks like a smart idea at this point, because it would, if they were to lose that game, and Jeff Brom is ahead of things, he's got things going at Louisville, that could be seen as a ding where he can really get momentum going with his schedule, Rick.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, don't they have 8 home games this year?
Yes, 8 home games.
Start out with the Florida International, and then Western Illinois, and then at UCLA.
Yeah.
UCLA,
which is a winnable game.
Should be a winnable game. Phil Steele picks UCLA behind Indiana this year. They got a rookie head coach, never been a head coach anywhere. Have their defensive coordinator left and went to USC. They had some hits in the transfer portal. What he likes about Indiana, I think, is he thinks when I looked at the individual groups that he ranked, the offensive guys were ranked ahead of the defensive guys. He has some questions about their defense. But I think they have a chance to have some really good receivers. They brought in some good guys out of the portal, and then McCulley came back, and Amari Cooper came back. The running back group seems decent. The offensive line, a number of guys returned, still needs to get better because it's been the weak link now for 3 years. But Bostad, they finally have some solid, some continuity there with the offensive line coach, of a guy who knows what he's doing and to develop an offensive line. So, yeah, they win that UCLA game, then they have a chance to really get on a roll, because then they come home and play Charlotte, right? That would be 4-0. And then Maryland's
at home, which they don't have Tunga Bailoa anymore.
Right.
And then you have Northwestern on the road, but Northwestern is still kind of reeling.
And you're playing them in the soccer stadium. It's not going to be like you're playing them in the old thing. I mean, yeah, you're right. The schedule did break the right way, and they just have to take advantage of it. So, and I saw in another part of his magazine, he has a list of the most improved teams in the country. He had Indiana listed as the 4th most improved team in the country by the metrics. So he definitely is high in Indiana, and a winning season could still be 7-6 too. So they could be 6-6, go to a bowl, and then do the absolutely impossible miracle and win a bowl game for the first time in 31 years.
Wouldn't
that be something?
Cignetti's going to have a statue out here he could have a statue in 1 year. There might be only one way to go after his first season in Bloomington. So that's not, but yeah, a 6-0 start. Gosh, I almost feel like a homer saying that. But a 6-0 start is absolutely not only not out of the question, but very possible for this Indiana team because of how the schedule lays. You don't have an Ohio State to start the damn year. That has been huge. Indiana has just gotten hammered on the schedule by the Big Ten, opening at Iowa, opening against Ohio State a number of times. But this year, no, a 6-0 start. And that in and of itself, the momentum, the confidence, the crowds that will bring, if they win, we saw a couple of years ago, Rick, when they sold that Cincinnati game out, it was, you win, they will come.
Yeah, you create a buzz. It kind of grows organically. Or people say, "Did you see what they're doing? I want to get down there and see a game. Do you want to go?" Then, you get more publicity, you get more coverage. It's been harder for IU than it used to be. When after the Colts game, I think a lot of the Indianapolis stations don't really cover IU football as much as they used to. They're all about the Colts.
Well, they haven't had a reason to.
Right. But if you start winning games with a new coach and you start filling up the stadium, then it's impossible to ignore them.
Yeah. Nebraska, he's also that I see that you listed, or Phil still listed in your piece, that Nebraska also one of the most 4 improved schools. Well, and I think that because that Matt Rule has had that extra year, he is ahead of the jump. That is a game, even though it's a home game for Indiana, that's one of 3 losses I'm picking on the schedule. The other games, they're up to be won. Michigan, of course, at home. I don't expect Indiana to win that game. I don't expect Indiana to win at Ohio State. But other than that, you've got to go to Michigan State. They're still not what Michigan State was. So that is a very winnable game. And if you're, and I missed Washington coming in, also with a brand new coach, also with a team that was pretty much their offense is gone from what they had. Roma Dunzio gone to the NFL, Michael Penix Jr. gone, and Ryan Grubb, all that the coaching staff is gone. So the opportunity is unbelievable what lies ahead for Indiana football. And it's hard to believe that I just said those words.
Yeah. I mean, Rutgers is a key game. I think where is that game?
They don't play Rutgers, do they?
They don't?
No.
Oh, that's good. They don't have Rutgers. So that's good because Rutgers has handled them pretty good the last few years.
Yeah. They got them off the schedule, got Penn State off the schedule.
That's a plus.
The Big Ten East.
They're replaced by UCLA and Washington, right?
Right on. Okay. Right on.
You got to me, to be fair, and 6 wins would be anything 6 or better is a successful season as long as it includes a win over Purdue. You got to get that one. And then if you can beat one of those Pac-12 teams, or flip the script on Maryland, which has beaten Indiana 3 in a row at least. Those are the measuring. The measuring stick games are the Purdue and Maryland and Michigan State and Northwestern games. Those are the teams Indiana's going to have to be beating to get where it wants to be, to become a team that's taken seriously in the Big Ten.
Can you imagine the buzz that would be at Memorial Stadium if Indiana were to win those first 6 games and go 6-0 and have a Nebraska team coming in to play undefeated? I mean, I don't expect Indiana to win that game right now on paper. When the season's here and the game's upon us, that may be different. I don't know what things are always different for different teams, but I don't even want to talk about it if they went 7-0. It would just be, it's like, I'm out.
That probably hasn't happened since the 1967 Rose Bowl season, right?
Has to be. I mean, it has to be. There's no way possible that could have been happening another time.
Yeah, when you factor that into some of the recruiting momentum they've got going on, and the guys they've gotten, the guys they're trying to get and be involved with, they've, as we've talked about the last few weeks, I mean, they've done all the things that they needed to do since they've been hired to now to position the program to improve and to get more interest in the program, because those two things go hand in hand. I mean, they got to win, but they got to get people to come to the stadium and fill the stadium. We've talked about this so many times that when you're in the Big Ten and you've got 4 or 5 programs that are consistently selling out 7 to 8 home games at 90 or 100,000 people, and you're at Indiana and you're not selling out any games. You're averaging 42,000 a game for 6 home games. You're at a huge financial disadvantage for your entire athletic program. I mean, it's critical for Indiana to get people interested in football and get people coming to the games and filling out the stadium.
Absolutely. And looking forward to there's just something about a football buzz. It's just different. It is just different. And Indiana has not had the product on the field. And that's one thing I've heard Curt Cignetti talk about. I guarantee you the product on the field is going to be different. And I expect it to be that way. Jordan Hall's added to the Indiana TBT team that will be playing at historic Hinkle Fieldhouse next month against Purdue and against Butler. Those teams or those schools also having teams in it. But that's a huge addition. Jordan Hall's came when he started his job at Indiana, just stepped off of the court and was still playing at his highest level. I think he was an MVP the year before, maybe, but he was at his highest level and was expecting to continue to play if that job offer had not come along.
Yeah, I mean, he gives them one thing they need is a 3-point shooter. He gives them an older player who's used to playing against older guys in international basketball. He's been around the game for a long time, son of a coach, been with Woody the last couple of years, learning how to coach. I think the rest of those guys will listen to him and respect what he has to say. So, well, they got 5 guys now: Devontae Green, Jordan Hulls, Miller Kopp, Juwan Morgan, and who's the 5th one? I always forget the 5th one.
Oh man, well, you hit the one that I always forget, so now you've messed me up. Somebody will throw it up there in a second.
Troy Williams.
Oh yeah, T-Roy. Yeah. So yeah, that's going to be fun. I mean, it just continues to get more exciting. Christian Watford is kind of GMing it. He's not going to play. It'll be interesting to see how much Jordan plays. But
what about Mo Creek? He's played in a lot of these things.
I wondered about that early on because he's been a big part of the TBT. And I'm surprised I haven't seen that name pop up because he has extensive experience in the TBT, but I'm not sure how many guys they're going to get in total. Talk to Christian about it. I would expect, more than 10 for sure, but it could be 8 to 10.
Robert Johnson, is he a possibility, or James
one
Blackman
would
Jr.?
think. Well, they've got Devontae Green. Yeah, I mean, there's another shooter, man. So they definitely have great options that they could look towards if they can make schedules work out. And I know guys are playing in different places.
Yeah. Zeisloff, what about Zeisloff? He'd be one.
Some of these guys, you wonder if they're still in shape. The ones that aren't playing, what shape that they're in, because it's very, unless you stay in shape. Derek Elston, I'm a little surprised Derek's not playing a little bit, maybe, because that boy's in shape. But
it's going to be fun this year from another standpoint. Is not only Indiana having a team, Kentucky's finally having a team. And Louisville had a team last year, and they're back with a lot of the same guys. They've got Montrezl Harrell, who played like 7 or 8 years in the NBA, and I'm sure intends to go back next year. He sat out all this year with an injury. He's playing, so you could have, what about a Final Four with Kentucky, Louisville, Indiana, and somebody else?
Wouldn't that be incredible? I wish they should possibly consider in the future having the TBT championship at Hinkle. What a place to have that in. That's kind
Where
of
is it? Is it back? Last year was in Philadelphia. Is it back?
I think that is there again this year. The finals, I believe.
Yeah. No, it's a fun event. I really enjoyed it last year. I went to 3 Louisville games. They won the first 2 and lost the third one, but I like that Elam ending. I think it's fun, makes it more interesting. They have a deal where if you I think if you get $1,000 if you're the player who makes the winning shot.
Oh, is that right?
But you might have to wear a certain brand of shoes. They give everybody a pair of shoes. That's the brand that sponsors the tournament. You might have to put their shoes on and wear them when you're making the shot. I think that's the case. You get $1,000 though if you make the winning shot.
So we got guys that are going over and changing shoes real quick in the last few minutes of the game.
I think that's theoretically what they would like you to do. Yeah. I think it's
perfect.
Reebok.
What's coming up next for you, man?
You know, the big attention around here is going to be the College World Series. Kentucky made it for the first time in program history. They play on Saturday afternoon against NC State. 4 SEC teams against 4 ACC teams in the College World Series, proving beyond a reasonable doubt the value of being in warm weather environments in college baseball.
And it's like what? Oh yeah, it's all SEC, all ACC. I was talking yesterday about that, and I'm like, wow, that jumped out so fast when I was looking at the schedule. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, damn, there's nothing that can really be done, I guess, about it.
Unless you want to help them build a dome in Bloomington, they could put, build a small dome for basketball and baseball. I mean, Kentucky's the northernmost school to make it. Other than that, you got, I think it's Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, and I forgot the fourth. It might be Texas A&M. And then the ACC teams, I believe, are Clemson got beat. It's North Carolina State, Florida State, and I don't remember the fourth one. But, yeah, it's 4 ACC.
Absolutely. Yep. It'll be fun. I'm looking forward to the TBT as well. Make sure you follow Rick Bozich and all of his content at WDRB.com. Appreciate you, my friend.
All right. Have a great week, Jim.
You bet. You too, Rick. Rick Bozich from WDRB.com joining us as he does each and every Wednesday here. Big thanks to Cal Neddenriep from the Indy Star, as well as Dylan Sinn from the Fort Wayne Journal-Gazette. Thanks to Tyler for keeping us between the white lines. And most importantly, each and every one of you. Without you, we have no reason to be here. I'm Jim Coyle, and until I see you the next time, either Thursday or Friday, we're still working that out because of producer situation. I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.